Hey guys, today we're going to work on our annotations for Dark They Were and Golden Eyed by Ray Bradbury. So the first thing I did is I wrote the genre of our story up here, which is science fiction. Then I'm going to add our two themes for our story. Our first one is our story reflects cultural change and assimilation. The other one is addresses issues concerning the ability of humans to adapt to unknown conditions. So those are two major themes in our story. Now, remember with science fiction, we usually have some major theme that deals with humanity in general and how humanity is going to change, adapt, or deal with big problems. What I did now is I highlighted paragraph 2. It says, "The man felt his hair flutter and the tissue of his body draw tight, as if he were standing at the center of a vacuum. His wife before him seemed almost to whirl away in smoke. The children's small seeds might at any instant be sown to the Martian climates." This paragraph is super important. First, it's a comparison between his body tissue and the inside of a vacuum. Then we have that it's unusual because it compares people to the effects of the wind. Also, it compares his children to seeds and compares his wife to smoke. So there's a lot of comparisons in that paragraph. Then I highlighted paragraph number 8. And remember, if I move too fast, you can always pause and continue to write. This one says, "The wind blew as if to flake away their identities. At any moment, the Martian air might draw his soul from him as marrow comes with the white bone. He felt submerged in a chemical that could dissolve his intellect and burn away his past." So these comparisons help create mood, and the family is not entirely safe here at this section of the story. And with our paragraph 8, the author is suggesting people of Earth are vulnerable on Mars. All right, so the next thing we have is the author suggesting people of Earth are vulnerable on Mars. Then I'm going to go down some more and I'm going to paragraph 15. It says, "I feel like a salt crystal," he said, "in a mountain stream, being washed away. We don't belong here. We're Earth people. This is Mars. It was meant for Martians. For heaven's sake, Cora, let's buy tickets for home." Here, the author is using indirect characterizations or the thoughts of actions to characterize Mr. Bittering. So remember, we have the characterization of Mr. Bittering. It helps us understand how he feels about being on Mars, which is currently unhappy. And these details about his unhappiness help you create tension in the story. Then we have the next page, and I highlighted paragraph 34. "Alone, though, Bittering, only 1,000 of us here. No way back, no way, no way." Sweat poured from his face and his hands and his body. He was drenched in the hotness of his fear. He wanted to strike Laura, cry, "No, you're lying. The rockets will come back." Instead, he stroked Laura's head against him and said, "The rockets will get through someday." Here, Bittering is conflicted. He's afraid, but also trying to reassure his daughter. Fragments and repetition in this section. So, a fragment is an incomplete sentence, and a repetition is going to be something repeated over and over and over. Speed the action and add to the tension. And the language here in paragraph 34 shows panic and inner conflict for Bittering. Now let's look at our next page. We have paragraph 41. "But now, the web gone, the rockets lying in jigsaw heaps of molten gritter and unsanked wire. Earth people left to the strangers of Mars, the cinnamon dust and the wine airs, to be baked like gingerbread shapes in Martian summers, put into harvested storage by Martian winters. What would happen to him, the others? This was the moment Mars had waited for. Now it would eat them." So I have that last one underlined. This was the moment Mars had waited for. This is personification. I also have that this is important because it appeals to the senses and it paints a picture with the author's words. Then we have the second image in here suggests the strange beauty and intense climate of Mars. This whole passage is meant to build suspense, and it emphasizes the destruction that has taken place on Earth. It also is going to emphasize how cut off from Earth the people of Mars are. So this page is very important. Now, moving from 130 to 131, I have how characters respond is a type of characterization. So here we have Cora responding to something as well as Mr. Bittering. Cora, the blossoms, she handled them. Do you see? They're different. They've changed. They're not peach blossoms anymore. Look all right to me, she said. They're not. They're wrong. This helps us understand the changes that are happening. It describes the changes and how different characters are reacting to them. So, no, the plants are beginning to change, which upsets Harry, but not Cora. So, Harry will find it difficult to accept other changes throughout the story. If we look at on our next page, we only have line 85 to highlight. They nodded and laughed. Sure, Harry, sure. Here, Harry is alarmed by the news, but the others don't seem to take it seriously. Dialogue makes the action here move very, very quickly. On my next page, I have 85. They nodded and laughed. Sure, Harry, sure. Oh, sorry, guys, same one. So for this one, I had to do it twice because it did not work as well the first time. You couldn't see the page numbers. So after 132, I have 133. And on 133, the only thing you need to know is the author advances the story through words his characters speak or through dialogue. So here he's using dialogue to speed up his story. Then after 133, we have 134. Here I did Eort, Eort, because here Harry says he knows no Martian words, and the author does this to show that Harry, too, is starting to change. And the big change for a main character, he's starting to speak Martian. So that's the big change that's going to let you know that he is going to possibly eventually change as well. Then I'm going to move on to 135. On 135, I highlighted, and take the rest of the day off, she said. It's hot. The children want to swim in the canals and hike. Please come along. I can't waste time. This is a crisis. So here we have another comparison in how they are reacting to things. Harry is focused on getting home, and Cora is urging him to relax. So he feels it is a crisis, and she is more interested in the leisure activities that they can complete on the planet. Then on my next page, I highlighted Uta, he said. The boy smiled. You know, Uta is the Martian word for father. Here, it helps the reader understand the changes taking place, the turning point in our story. His son, or Harry's son, is beginning to use Martian words. This suggests his son is now Martian and more changes are to come. Changes are now affecting Harry's son, and this is a big progression in our story. And Harry isn't bothered by the changes or development, which suggests the story is about to go in a huge new direction. Remember, all of the other changes that have occurred so far have really put Harry in a tizzy. This one, he's just kind of annoyed with, but for the most part, he just allows them to go ahead and change his name. All right, and then on my next page, I have Bittering has internal conflict about the urging of work. We have a conversation progresses, and he feels less committed to work. So as that conversation goes on and on, the more they talk to him, the less he feels committed to his work of building that rocket ship. We also have the use of repetition, like work, work, autumn, autumn, go to work, autumn, autumn would be best. In the autumn, yes, in the autumn, I'll begin to work then. So you see work and autumn are repeated quite a lot. So the more and more he is more and more enticed by the idea of putting off his work into autumn. So the more he talks to these people, the more enticed he is by putting off his work into autumn. And Bittering is becoming more like the other men. On the next page, the only thing you need to know is the names of geographical formations and people are changing. And this is big because the change in the names of geographical formations signifies a change in the people and in the story as a whole. All right, now I'm going to skip this page. I had to do it twice because I bent it when I was doing this. So on the next page, I have those on the mission to Mars are finding positive things to say about the Martians. So those people have just landed on Mars are finding positive things to say about the Martians. The scene hints that the colonists will change in some way as well. So it says, but the American built towns of cottages, peach trees, and theaters was silent. They found a flimsy rocket frame rusting in an empty shop. We have the words abandoned bar, and the town's empty but was found native life in the hills, sir. Dark people, yellow eyes, Martians, very friendly. We talked a bit. Not much. They learn English fast. I'm sure our relations will be most friendly with them, sir. So, this lingering mystery adds to the drama. It suggests that Martians might remember they were once Earth people, but they're not sharing that information. They then continue on. They hadn't the foggiest notion of what happened to the town or its people. They look surprisingly peaceful. Chances are a plague did this town in, sir. So if we continue to look at the bottom of it, we have, are you listening, Lieutenant? The lieutenant snapped his gaze from the blue color and quiet mist of the hills far beyond the town. What? Oh, yes, sir. So the lieutenant's attention is somewhere else when the colonel is talking to him. And the lieutenant is captivated by the Martian landscape. This suggests that the new arrivals will slowly become Martians too, and it emphasizes the often neglected psychological side of exploration. The value of mental stimulus, boredom can cause people to make mistakes. And here, when it talks about the blue color, it hints he is already being consumed or taken over by the Martian landscape. I hope these annotations help you. I'm sorry for all the background noise. My little one is here at school with me. Thanks, guys.